I want to make it clear that you've never treated President Biden, and I want to show everyone at home what Joe Biden looked like at the State of the Union in March. We have not sped up this video. We have not edited this video. It's from March, but the difference in Joe Biden's delivery on State of the Union night compared to what we've seen over the last several weeks is drastic. Take a look.
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted.
Okay. Dr. Frank, we've heard a lot about the Biden team doing something behind the scenes before the State of the Union, and the thought process goes that they'll try to do the same thing before the debate. They'll get him. We always hear that Biden's hopped up on something, and there's a lot of speculation about what that could mean. From a medical perspective, if you wanted to get somebody like 81-year-old Joe Biden hopped up before an appearance like the debate next Thursday, what would you give him? What could you give him?
Well, good morning, Robin. Thanks for having me today. And I appreciated the disclaimer at the top of the segment here. I have never examined the president. I don't know anything about it. All I can tell you is what I observed. And what I observed is basically a tale of two Joes. We see the State of the Union clip that we just saw, and he's animated. He's speaking very, very quickly. And then we see him on a daily basis getting lost and stumbling around. So I think it is conceivable and probably more likely than not that at some point they are giving the president some sort of a stimulant. I would think about something along the lines of an ADD drug, Adderall, Ritalin, an amphetamine derivative, which in short terms, if you give this to somebody in short term, it will make them more animated. It will give them more energy, more focus, and we can see that on screen. So I think that it's probably more likely than not that for these big events, these big speeches, it's very likely that they are giving him something.
Joe Biden is 81 years old. He's had heart issues in the past. I'll let you go into more detail about that. But if somebody is not suffering from an ailment, is it medically safe to treat somebody for something that they don't have to get them, more up for something like the debate next Thursday? Is that even medically smart to do?
It's really not, Rob. When you give somebody who doesn't actually have ADD a stimulant, and again, we're talking about derivatives of amphetamines, so basically street speed, we're giving derivatives of that. And there's a couple of concerns when it comes to the president's health. If we take what we do know from public information, number one, he's got a history of atrial fibrillation. That is an arrhythmia. It's a heart arrhythmia that can lead to stroke and other health risks as well. If you give a stimulant to somebody who has atrial fibrillation, you're increasing the risk of that arrhythmia manifesting and coming back, possibly leading to something like a stroke. He also has a history of repaired aneurysms in his brain, which it's important to keep the blood pressure under control to not cause the vessels in the brain to swell and possibly leak. And keeping these medications can cause the blood pressure to increase. So if they're doing this, and however often that they're doing it, every time that they do, they're running the risk of causing harm to the president. And that's really, it really is elder abuse at some point.
Could you go into more detail about what that means? Let's say on debate night, they give the president, I know the media wants you to think that Joe Biden just got a good night's sleep, but you look at that clip from the State of the Union and it's shocking. You forget it at how alive he was that night suddenly at 9 p.m. This debate's going to happen at 9 p.m. In Atlanta. He's 81 years old. 9 p.m. is late for me, let alone an 81-year-old. So what is a worst-case scenario possibility if you were to give somebody like Joe Biden Adderall or Ritalin or something else?
Well, I think a worst-case scenario, Rob, and again, if you're increasing somebody's blood pressure, heart attack and stroke would be on the table. And again, if you speed up somebody's heart, whose heart is already prone to be irregular with something like AFib, then you run the risk of something like a stroke. It could be catastrophic. Look, I can't give you this specific likelihood of something like that happening, but it's really in the realm of possibility because we know he has these prior existing conditions. We can look and see that it's very likely that they're giving him something. So if you put one and one together, we have a possible recipe for disaster.